They said the trees never forget screams, and on that cursed evening the crooked branches of the farmhouse woods cradled the most chilling echo of them all, because they hung a farm girl in the trees, a girl whose heart had never known malice, who had spent her years barefoot in the fields feeding stray dogs, singing lullabies to the wind, and loving a man who promised her forever. But 47 seconds after her last desperate gasp, the horizon trembled with the thunder of rotor blades, and her husband's helicopter split the sky like judgment itself, carrying vengeance hotter than the sun. And if you think you've heard stories of love and betrayal before, think again, because what happened next would forever stain that village with whispers of curses, buried secrets, and the kind of revenge that writes its own scripture. So stay until the end, and don't forget to subscribe, because this is a tale you'll never forgive yourself for missing. She was born to soil and storms, the daughter of a poor farmer whose debts chained his soul, and though poverty painted cracks in the walls of their home, she carried beauty like a secret flame, hair dark as the raven wings that perched on scarecrows, eyes deep like rain-soaked earth, and a smile that could cut through the hardest day's labor. But that beauty drew eyes of envy from women, eyes of lust from men, and one man in particular who would mark the beginning of her end, a land baron's son who had always wanted what was never his, and when she rejected his proposal in front of the whole town, he swore with a smile that seemed harmless that one day she would regret it. Yet fate gave her joy first, because love found her in the form of a military pilot who had once been forced to land in her field when his chopper ran short on fuel, and she brought him water, bread, and the kindness of her laughter, and something about her made him forget the war, the orders, the uniform. He saw in her the home he never had, and he vowed to return, and return he did, every weekend, until vows were exchanged under the same oak tree that would later betray her with a noose. For years they lived quietly, she tending fields, he carrying out dangerous missions abroad, yet always writing her letters sealed with pressed flowers. But what they didn't know was that the land baron's son had been watching, waiting, feeding his bitterness like wolves in the dark. And when drought came, when taxes rose, when whispers of unpaid loans circled the family's name, he spread rumors that she had been unfaithful, that she had poisoned livestock, that her beauty was a mask hiding witchcraft. And in small towns, lies grow like weeds, choking truth, and soon even her friends averted eyes, leaving her alone in markets where once laughter had followed. Her husband was away on a mission, unreachable, and in that absence the land baron's son made his move, rallying villagers with poisoned words, convincing them she was a curse on their harvests, a snake among them. And one night when moonlight painted silver lines on the fields, they dragged her from her home, screaming her innocence, beating her as chickens scattered, ropes burning her wrists, her cries echoing across acres of wheat. But none came to help, because fear is louder than compassion, and envy blinds faster than justice. And so they took her to the trees, her own oak, where she had kissed her husband's vows, and there they looped the rope while she begged them to wait, begged them to ask her husband, begged them not to believe lies. But no one listened, and when her feet kicked the air and her last breath spilled into the night, the earth itself seemed to mourn, for leaves shivered though the wind was still. 47 seconds, that's all the universe gave them before the storm came, because far away, her husband had finished his mission early, and with roses in his pack he steered his helicopter home, smiling at the thought of her surprise. But as he neared the village, flames of torches caught his eyes, and then he saw the body swinging, the crowd chanting, saw the betrayal, and something in him broke that would never mend, and the blades of his chopper roared like an avenging beast as he descended, scattering villagers like terrified mice, bullets rattling in warning, not mercy. And he leapt down, cradling her lifeless body, sobbing into her hair, kissing her cold lips as he vowed in a voice that shook the ground that none who touched her would ever know peace again. And he meant it, for what followed was not grief but wrath, a campaign of vengeance so merciless the town would tell ghost stories for generations. He hunted them one by one, the liar who spread the first rumor found drowned in the well he once drank from, the old crone who tied the rope discovered hanging from her own rafters, the land baron's son himself found nailed to the very oak with words carved in his chest. She was innocent, but here is the twist that even the darkest revenge cannot silence. When he buried her beneath the oak, he swore never to leave her side, and yet whispers say the soil never settled, that at night the earth breathes as though she waits, not at rest, because justice bought in blood is never true peace, and villagers claim they see her shadow swaying in moonlight though the tree was cut down years later, and some swear they hear the helicopters thunder on windless nights, as if love and rage echo together forever, trapped in that cursed sky. And here's where the truth burns most. For among her belongings, he found a letter sealed in ribbon, a letter she had written for him that very morning, telling him she was pregnant, telling him they would no longer be just 2 but 3, telling him to hurry home because she had never felt such joy. And when he read it, his screams shook the valley louder than any war ever had, because they hadn't just stolen his wife, they had stolen his child, his future, his everything. And that grief became his grave too, for though he lived years more, He was never truly alive, his eyes haunted, his soul lost, and the helicopter that once carried roses carried only rage. They hung a farm girl in the trees, but they didn't just kill her, they planted a curse in their soil, and every harvest after rotted early, every storm struck harder, every birth was followed by death, until families fled the town, leaving only ruins and a field where nothing grows, as though the earth itself still mourns her, as though the trees still whisper her name. And if you've read this far, remember, sometimes the cruelest evil hides not in strangers, but in neighbors, and sometimes love is so strong it bends even the sky into a weapon. So subscribe now, because stories like this are born from shadows, and the next tale I tell might be the one that keeps you awake tonight.